Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. If you're familiar with me at all, you know that I covered extensively the Bill Cosby case. I was told that some of my videos actually assisted in Bill Cosby. Unfortunately, he did go to prison for 3 years. I cannot help that, but the ultimate decision came through to release him and to severely or very strong wording in the decision said that the trial was a kangaroo court. I'm a third-year law school student. I need $100,000 to complete my law degree. If anybody wants to assist me in that, that would be much appreciated. When you first go to law school, the very first week, they're going to tell you, from this day forward, you're going to think completely differently from the regular general public. You're not going to see things the way the general public sees things. A lot of people in law school, or shall I say, a lot of people who go to law school to learn how to think. If you go to a good law school, you're going to be exposed to the Socratic method. This is why a lot of times when the news talks about something medical or something scientific, and they say, the consensus is, if you have a legal mind or an actual scientific mind, you're going to reject any such notion that there is a consensus of science until such time as something is actually deemed to be a full-fledged theory, or even better, a full-fledged law. There is no consensus to it. Nothing that's a hypothesis, nothing that's a thought, nothing that is an idea. In the medical profession, most things are ideas. That's why it's called a medical practice. You practice on hundreds, if not thousands, of your patients. And every single person is completely different. Now, what's the point of this particular video? You haven't been paying attention, but the Johnny Depp defamation lawsuit that is going on right now is having far-reaching and extended ramifications that the general public just is not aware of. I always am very excited about things that have far-reaching and extensive ramifications that the general public is not being told about, is not far-reaching. That is far-reaching, right? The mainstream media loves to hide stuff, or even worse, loves to call stuff misinformation that is, in fact, not misinformation at all. Also, stuff like the term hate speech is a ridiculous term. If you are of a sound mind, and that is actually not the case in the general public, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there is a large portion of the general population, at least in the United States, that has mental issues. So when I say if you are of a sound mind, you can rest assured that almost 50% of the population is not. You might be one of those people who, in your heart of hearts, really believes that you are of a sound mind, but you happen to not be. You can go look that up. And unfortunately, along gender line, it's bad news for women. A majority of women are not of sound mind. Now, for the people who are of sound mind, if you have been ascribing to the notion that there is such thing called hate speech, but you believe in the freedom of speech, the two cannot coexist in the same universe. And I'm using the words carefully. Universe. Meaning it is so far-fetched, so far out of the realm of possibility that hate speech cannot exist in the same reality as the freedom of speech. And freedom of speech is what you have inherently. It's not something that's given to you by the government, and it's not supposed to be anything that the government can take away from you. That's another thing that they teach you in law school, right? The Bill of Rights applies to you inherently. You are born with them. The federal government, the state government, the city government, the local government cannot and shall not abridge those rights. No matter how they couch those rights in terms that seems to be so emotionally charged that you agree to give them up, inherently you still have them. And it takes a good lawyer to tell you, hey, you still have these rights. No matter what the police said, no matter what the district attorney said, no matter what the opposing lawyer said, no matter what the president of the United States said, you still have those inherent rights. Oh, but this is a private company. A private company can't take those rights away from you. You do not have to deal with that company, but they can't take them away from you. Private companies only come into play when you do one-on-one transactional relationships with them. So if Twitter bans you off of Twitter, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news there, they're not really a private company. When you take money from governments, you're no longer really a private company. You are a quasi branch of the government. Because if you are enforcing stuff that the government wants, you are a quasi branch of the government. That's how that works. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, that's how that works. You're not really private. You might appear private. You might smell private. You might taste private, but you're not really private. So if they ban you off of their platform, the whole point of your rights, at least in the United States, is, and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, isn't that there's some huge wall that is surrounding you that the government can't permeate through. No, your rights have to be enforced against the government. If a policeman comes and violates your rights, he doesn't automatically stop being a policeman. He doesn't automatically stop being a government representative. You have to go get a lawyer to enforce your rights, to then go to court and have the court say, hey, you violated this guy's rights. And if a quasi-governmental entity that we are calling a private company violates your inherent constitutional rights, you have to get a lawyer to then go to court and have the court say, hey, you are a quasi-governmental entity. You violated this person's rights, and because you are a quasi-governmental entity, you cannot do that. You have to enforce your rights against the government, representatives of the government, or entities that are acting on behalf of the government. You have to do that. They're not going to automatically do that. In fact, the courts have held that the police can lie. As a matter of their duty, they do not have a duty to tell you the truth. And they can act all offended if you lie against the police, and even punish you for lying. And act all high and mighty and said, oh my God, how dare you lie to the police. This is the state of the court system now. You can literally say, I wasn't there, and the police say, aha, we have proof on video that you were there. Because you lied to us, we can now double your punishment, which should be cruel and unusual punishment, but that's the here we are, right? That's the saying, right? The Johnny Depp case, which you have not been paying attention to, has this far-reaching ramifications. it has shown to the public that women can in fact lie. It seems weird that we would need a court case to tell us this, but here we are. That's the saying, right? Here we are. What does that mean? That means that men are now bringing cases against their accusers who lied about them. They are now enforcing their rights to be heard in a court of law against women. Why is this amazing? Why is this a thing at all? Because Twitter and the mainstream media and the U.S. government have said that women should be automatically believed. No matter what they say, they should automatically be believed. And hence, if they bring a lawsuit and say, I need $20 million because I'm saying this guy did something, and they said women should automatically be believed, give them the $20 million. I'm reminded of a case of a high school senior who was on track in football, who was on track to becoming one of the top 10 scouted people. I have no idea how this, the term, the vocabulary of this is. So if I get it all mixed up, please correct me in the comments. He was in the top 10, people scouted to be in the NFL. A freshman girl accused him of something. He was found guilty, and the city paid her $20 million. He went to jail or prison, wherever you go for that. I absolutely never wanted to be a defense attorney for criminal cases, but I'll practice constitutional law if push comes to shove. 3 years later, she sent text messages to her friend to say she made the whole thing up. She had never even met the guy. She doesn't know the guy. The guy doesn't know her. She made the entire thing up. The friend went to the police and turned over the text messages. Now you're saying, how is it that if they had never met, how was he convicted, tried in a court of law and convicted? And you simply have to go to my earlier statement that said the U.S. government has a philosophy that women should be believed no matter what they say. Even if there is zero evidence to the truth of what they're saying. He was released from jail or prison or whatever, wherever it was, and his life was ruined. And when the city or state went after her for the $20 million, come to find out she had spent it all. And she didn't spend it on anything worthwhile. She didn't buy houses. She didn't buy land. She didn't buy anything tangible that could have set her up for life. I mean, if anybody was smart, $20 million could have set them up for life. Not only set them up, but could have set up their children's children for life, right? $20 million, right? If you're smart, you could easily be set up for life for that, right? No, not her. She spent it all on nothing. I think it was like expensive food or something like that. $20 million. And his life was ruined. And he tried and tried and tried, and they just could not work with him because he had been out of play literally for 3 or 4 years. All because the state is of the opinion that women should be believed. But now the Johnny Depp case is not only showing the public, but also showing to the government, state, local, federal government that women lie. Not only do they lie, they can hide the fact that they are in fact the bad guy. At least 20 different men who were accused of something are now bringing lawsuits against those accusers. Men whose lives were ruined, completely ruined are bringing lawsuits against those women to have their day in court. I want to ask you, do you think the judicial system is going to admit they took a black eye for destroying the lives of men falsely accused? And do you think, it is coming glaringly apparent because the attorneys for the woman in the Johnny Depp case are so awful. As a law school student who went to moot court and who did very well, but I'm my own worst critic. And I thought, I can never, and now I'm looking at these lawyers who are awful, just horrible. It is amazing that all of this is coming together, that she has terrible lawyers who are behaving badly. And we just had another case, right? Where the lawyer was, the DA was horrible. The district attorney, a guy in the biggest position of, to be a lawyer for the city, is just awful, incompetent. It is amazing that we are now, and because it's televised, now we can see everything just in full fledged. And the general public and the people who try and defend those people are now, they have no way to hide the fact of how horrible these lawyers are and how horrible the people who were the accusers are. It is finally going to be equality. We're finally going to have real and true equality. It's already turning around in the divorce arena. I don't know if you know this. Men are getting alimony. Men are getting child support. Oh, I'm sorry. Men are being ruled to be able to get alimony. Men are being ruled to be able to get child support. Guess what? Women, to the tune of 90%, do not pay the child support that they are supposed to pay. And guess what? The police do not go after them. They are not thrown in jail. They are not even looked for. It is still assumed that even though that the court has gone through an entire case, has heard all of the testimony, has reviewed all of the facts, and found that the woman in the case makes more money, was the breadwinner, and the man was the main caregiver to the children, and the court decided that yes, the woman should pay the man child support, and he should have primary custody of the children. It is still assumed, even after those decisions, that the man can still go it alone with his own money and provide for the child by himself. And this is why they don't go after women, although they've made a determination that she is supposed to. So yes, there is a turnaround in divorce. There is a turnaround in the whole notion of who provides what in a family, but there's still a double standard for women versus men. It is quite unfortunate. And of course, the person that pays the biggest price are the children in those cases. Hopefully, with this case, the Johnny Depp case, we're already seeing a turnaround. We're already seeing lawsuits. Perhaps those cases will also be televised. So this whole notion that women don't lie. Women don't lie? Ask any parent, do women lie? Do their daughters lie? They start lying at age 2, as soon as they can start talking. I'm not a parent, so I don't know at what age children start talking. I've heard of children talking before the age of 1. They start talking before they can even walk. Some children, some. Can they lie? Yeah, pretty sure they do. I've seen it in video clips of, these kids are so cute. And they lie in the clip. And the parents laugh at it. Women can definitely lie. And women can be the bad guy. I think you should pay attention to the Johnny Depp case. Thank you.